Yo, what's up, guys? It's Tommy, Tooch Talk host, bringing you guys NFL news for the week of July 25th, 2016. Le'Veon Bell suspended, Josh Gordon reinstated. Big news there, so let's break it down. Um, Le'Veon Bell, 2014 stats, his last full season he played, 290 rush attempts. He rushed for 1361 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4.7 yards per attempt. What's you guys' take on him after last year, coming into next year? After he was suspended 4 games, what is his draft stock and value this year, guys?
Well, first, I just have to commend you on actually getting that intro right. It took you about 4 times, but I'm proud of you for that. So I can't let you get away with it. I can't do it, Tommy. Um,
Thank you, Cal. It's gonna take a lot of work to get perfect at it, but I'm working on it.
you are working at it, and I'm very proud of you for that. But enough about us and more about Le'Veon Bell and his draft stock. Um, Personally, I would probably draft him round three. Not only is he now out the first 4 games, but he's also coming off of a season where he injured his ACL, and it's always difficult to play the next year at the same level where you were after that kind of an injury. So it'll be interesting to see it in terms of how I would personally play it. Probably draft Bell three or four if he falls that far, which I would not think he would. And then getting D'Angelo Williams so that you can have him as the first 4 weeks as your starter, and then you have Bell finishing out the season. And if Bell can't play or if he gets hurt again, then you got Williams back in there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't take Le'Veon Bell as my number one guy because he's coming off an injury, and obviously he's suspended for the first 4 games. But if you can get him as maybe your number two guy, he could end up having the season that he had 2 years ago and giving you two really good running backs if you draft a really good one with your first one. So, I mean, he's a guy I'd take about 3 or 4, like Cal said.
See, I disagree with that. I'm still taking him probably second round around there. I think he drops a little bit out of the first round, maybe even late first round, depending. I think you got to take a risk at running back, almost. But if you draft D'Angelo Williams, you got him handcuffed there in case anything goes wrong. So I mean, I think his draft stock and value goes down a little bit, but it is Le'Veon Bell, and he definitely has the stuff to be good. I mean, you say he's coming off an injury, but look what AP did. I think Le'Veon Bell he's got the caliber to be that kind of guy. Um, but I don't think it hurts him that much. I think he comes back and plays well. And then as for the Steelers as a team, um, I don't think it affects him that much. D'Angelo Williams filled in pretty well last year. He proved once he got the carries, he was able to come through as a running back, more patience, and instead of being that boom or bust kind of guy, and he actually boomed rather than bust. What you guys take on the loss of Le'Veon Bell towards the Steelers?
Well, this should affect the Steelers a lot, in my opinion, because D'Angelo Williams did a good job stepping in last year, but if they want to go to a Super Bowl team, then I just don't think D'Angelo Williams can take them there. So they're going to need Le'Veon Bell to come on strong at the end of the season and be what he was in 2014. And for the first 4 weeks, D'Angelo Williams, if he plays like he did last year, they should be all right. But he's also up there in age, so you never know how he's going to perform since he's older for a running back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is going to impact them necessarily as much as you think, Jackson, but I do think it's going to impact them some. Again, Bell and Williams are two different caliber running backs, especially with the age difference at this point. But that being said, I still think that Williams can do a stand-up job for those 4 games. And if Bell gets hurt again, this could definitely be good for Williams to kind of step up if he can do it like he did last season. Now, Bell can also come back, start off kind of sluggish, and then pick up steam if the Steelers, make it to the playoffs and get into that race. He could easily just pick up steam, and they can kind of just work Bell into the rotation, depending on how well Williams is doing, to lighten the load for Williams. Then you got a really great tandem back.
Yeah, see, I say little to none effect on the Steelers, like I said, but I think if Williams can fill in nicely, I don't think it affects them that much. I mean, they still have Antonio Brown and Big Ben's still hucking it, so I mean, I don't think it affects them crazy amount, as you guys are kind of saying, but yeah. But let's talk about D'Angelo Williams, guys, running back for the Steelers, obviously. In 2015, he had 200 carries for 907 rushing yards. He averaged 4.5 yards an attempt. 56 yards a game. He had 11 touchdowns on the year, and he was averaging 12 attempts a game. He's looking to take on that bigger role again in Pittsburgh. Looks to repeat what he did last year. He's got 4 weeks to do it. So, I mean, shouldn't be too tough. He just got to be able to, fill in for those 4 weeks for Bell. What's his fantasy thought, guys?
Well, I'm definitely not taking him anywhere early just because he most likely will only start for the first 4 weeks. So I'm definitely not going to risk one of my higher draft picks on a guy that's not going to be there for me the whole season.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy in 2014 who had 62 carries, and then he got bumped up to 200 in 2015. I think he did so well, partially because his legs were so fresh back in 2014. Now he's 33 this year. I don't like Jackson. I don't want to take him early or high. If anything, I would take him as a handcuff player to Bell, or take him for the person who already has Bell and then try to trade for some sort of a wide receiver or another running back option.
Yeah, I'm only taking him as a handcuff here, really. If I do end up happening to take Le'Veon Bell, um, Williams is he'll give you probably 4 solid weeks, or probably 3 solid weeks, maybe the fourth one. He doesn't fulfill what you're looking for, but I think he fills in nicely. Whether it's fantasy value or not, for the Steelers, I think he fills in nicely. For fantasy, that's more to see, obviously. And I'm definitely not taking him early. No way in hell I am doing that. I am going to wait, snag him late, and plug him in there for the first 4 weeks and have someone else that'll play there the rest of the year. Anyways, moving on. We got Josh Gordon. Guess who's back? Mr. Flash Gordon. Wide receiver. That was terrible. I'm sorry. Browns wide receivers back. His last season, he was out 2 games of the year. Remember this, for his 2-game suspension that year. And in 14 games, he had 87 receptions for 1,646 yards, 9 touchdowns. And his yards after the catch, he was 641 yards after the catch, 5th among players that obviously caught the ball. In 2013, Josh Gordon can be considered elite if he stays healthy, obviously. What's your guys' take on Josh Gordon's return?
Well, I don't think that health is necessarily a big deal here. My biggest question is, can he stay safe? Can he test negative all season long? Because at this point, he hasn't proven it uh, throughout his whole career. Now, the thing that's his saving grace is the fact that he's only 25 years old. So the fact that he's young, he could definitely bounce back, and maybe instead of a 25, 26 prime to like 30, maybe it's more like a 27 to 30 true prime kind of career that he has. But uh, I like what he brings to the Browns. The question still remains, who the heck is going to throw to him, because I don't have any faith in RG3. But I do like him coming back. I'm happy that he's able to clean himself up and get reinstated. I hope that he's learned from his past mistakes, and he stays true to what he said he's going to do.
Well, assuming RG3 is the quarterback, he'll be reuniting with his former college teammate at Baylor. Um, I'm very scared to take this guy in fantasy unless it's late because I just can't trust him. I mean, he's had opportunities and he struggles to stay on the field. He struggles with drugs. So, and until he proves to me otherwise, I'm just not going to take him anywhere early. Maybe not even in the middle of the draft. He's definitely a guy it would be a huge risk. So I would only take him late.
See, I like him as a huge risk, a high risk, high reward pick this year, though. I will be honest about it. I passed on him back in 2013 and 2014. Obviously, 2014, but I passed on him 2013. A buddy of mine in our draft got him, and it paid such big dividends. Now, do I think he's going to put up those numbers this year? No, but I could easily see him going anywhere from the 6th round to the 10th round for some drafts. I would probably take him 7 or 8, probably like a late 7th round high 8th round just because I think he's worth the risk at that point. You've already had a good foundation for who your team's going to be, and it's about those picks that are going to be the game changers. I mean, my last year's draft, I drafted Devontae Freeman in the 9th round. Not that I ever think he was going to be what he became last year. Absolutely not. But I thought he'd be like a good flex guy, get you somewhere between 8 and 12 points a game. And that's how I drafted him. I think Gordon could be the same with that potential to get you 20, 25 points a couple weeks out of the season.
And if he can stay on the field in that Browns offense that does not have a lot of talent, if he can stay on there, he's gonna get the ball a lot and he's gonna put up numbers. I think if he can stay on the field. So I mean, he really is the definition of a high risk, high reward guy in terms of. But I'm still scared to take him just because I'd really rather take a guy. Obviously, he could have a great season, but I'd just rather get a guy that I know is gonna be at least who I think will be out there for the season.
Yeah, that Week 5 matchup though for the Browns Patriots to get Brady and Gordon come back, that could be an interesting one. Um, just to mention that, but I think I'm a little weak, a little soft. I take Gordon middle rounds. He has a I think he has a really high ceiling, but obviously a very low floor. Um, he has the he has the talent to be an elite receiver, as you saw in 2013. He had the most receiving yards. Whether or not the touchdowns came, obviously you want a guy that can score you touchdowns. But I mean, if him and RG3 can click, if RG3 can find himself just enough for Josh Gordon. Gordon's good with the ball after he catches it. Um, Definitely helps, yards, his points just as much as touchdowns. If your guy can get you 150 yards, but the other guy got 100 yards and a touchdown, that's one more point more. But if Gordon can rack up the yards like he did in 2013, I like him going forward.
Well, and he's
Um,
also a really high upside in terms of PPR and half PPR leagues. I mean, if you're looking for a guy in those rounds to play a flex, or even somebody as a person to fill in for people that have the bye weeks in those middle to middle late rounds, I mean, why not take a guy that when he comes back, regardless of how rusty he is or whatever, he's going to get the ball targeted to him a whole bunch of times.
yeah, I mean, he had more yards than guys like AJ Green of the Bengals. He had 14.26 in 2013. Guys like Demarius Thomas, part of the Broncos, he had 14.30. Calvin Johnson, he had 14.92, big old Megatron. And number 2, Antonio Brown, 14.99. And then number 1, Josh Gordon with 1,600 receiving yards. I mean, the guy, he has the talent to be elite. So, I mean, you are taking a risk, but that late in the draft, is it that much of a risk for the guy you're drafting in Josh Gordon?
No, no, I don't think so. The more I think about it, the more I like the idea of drafting him in the middle rounds. Like I said, you have that good foundation. You're looking for a guy that can sneak in and be a really big game changer. And not many guys will end up having that kind of star power and that playmaking ability in those rounds like Josh Gordon. Now, again, can fantasy owners really trust him? I don't think anybody can at this point. So if you're struggling between Gordon and another guy that you like, or another guy that you've scouted personally and read up on and you really like them, take that other person because you never know what's going to happen with Gordon. But if you don't have somebody, if you're struggling to figure out who to go next, if you like how your team is already and you want to just kind of go for somebody that has that high risk, high reward kind of feel to him, then I would say absolutely take Josh Gordon.
And I don't know how much he's been working off the field since he's been out, but it's just a huge risk in my opinion, but also a huge reward. I mean, he hasn't played since 2013, and that's what, 3 years. So, I mean, it's definitely a risk. But I mean, if you can get him, I'd say about the 7th or 8th round, that could be a steal, especially if he can stay on the field.
I mean, if you're looking at the guys you're drafting that late, if you're looking to take a wide receiver, I mean, they don't have as much upside as Josh Gordon. I mean, if he does, I mean, yes, it's a risk if he stays on the field, but I mean, if he gives you maybe 5 solid weeks, okay, that's terrible, but if he stays on the field, you get the point.
No, I mean that's
You're taking guys, you're trying to take a risk on a guy, say, like Will Fuller, rookie wide receiver. You think, but I mean, you got Justin Hardy around him, Mohamed Sanu. I mean, those guys, you don't know if they have the potential to be as good as Josh Gordon. So I don't find it that much of a risk if you do take him where those guys are.
Yeah, no, I mean, you think about it. He gives you five, even 5 good weeks. I mean, that's 5 wins. If you have a solid team, that's 5 wins right there. Even if he doesn't have, and he has like, okay to poor numbers for the rest of the time, that still gives you a very good chance of getting into the playoffs if you've drafted
And
well.
sorry to cut you off real quick. If you do get those 5 solid weeks out of Josh Gordon, look where you drafted him. You probably already have good players before that because you probably drafted a good wide receiver in case he didn't go through. So then you have him at flex. So you're probably looking pretty good if you're taking Josh Gordon this late.
Absolutely.
You can continue.
No,
And
no, no. That's actually where I was going with it. So, well done.
there's no one else around those rounds that has the upside that he does. I mean, but there's also not as many guys with risk, but I'd definitely take him in those rounds just because he could change the season for you.
I mean, he could definitely fall in some drafts, and he can definitely, rise in some drafts. Just depends on who the people in your league
No,
are thinking about
I
him.
think he'll rise maybe more than anybody at this point that we've seen, just because of the fact that he's such a big name and he played so well. I could easily see people drafting him early, like 4 or 5, which I don't agree with. But I do understand. I mean, again, if he hits it, if he plays, hypothetically, he plays just as well as he did in 2013, which I don't think he'll do. But if he does, and I mean, people are going to want to take that chance, and some people are going to do it early. My advice and my thoughts on it is don't do it too early. And if he slips, past you in one of those earlier rounds and somebody takes him, it's not the end of the world. Even if he breaks out and does well, make sure you stay on your game plan. And if your game plan includes drafting him anywhere from round 7 to 10, and he falls before that, or you liked someone better than that, and you took them before Gordon, he gets picked, don't get down on yourself. You had a plan for a reason, and that was a backup plan.
Yeah. So I see Josh Gordon, round maybe 6, maybe late 6, in between there, and then from there on, see myself taking him. But I have a question for you guys. First off, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. One thing I want to ask you guys in the comment section, I'll ask Cal and Jackson here right now. Who has the bigger impact to their team when they return, Le'Veon Bell or Josh Gordon?
Oh,
I
that's tough. No,
I
go
think
ahead,
it's
Jackson.
I think it's Josh Gordon just because of how bad the Browns are. I think they're the worst team in the NFL. I mean, there's other teams you could say, but I would say the Browns. And I mean, Le'Veon Bell's a huge part of that team, but they also have other players like Antonio Brown. They have a great quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. The Browns really have no one, so I'd say Josh Gordon if he can stay on the field.
I think the question becomes it's different because each player will impact the team in a different way. I mean, Le'Veon Bell makes the Steelers, if their defense plays as well as it has in years past, they actually become somewhat of a contender. Um, and it's not like they lose that completely with D'Angelo Williams, but a healthy Le'Veon Bell is one of the top 3 running backs in the league right now. That's a game changer. And I think he'd do that in a contender kind of way. Josh Gordon on the Browns makes them relevant again, and makes them being, going to be talked about again. Also, I mean, hey, you got this whole Cleveland curse lifted. Josh Gordon comes back. Maybe he, just breaks that 2,000, yard record and they go on to win the Super Bowl. I mean, who knows?
Okay.
LeBron comes in. Maybe he starts week 5 as well. And, they just start going crazy rushing and TDs and passing, catching, all that kind of good stuff.
Okay, I think you're taking it a little far saying LeBron coming in. He's got other
That's
things
my
to worry
bold
about.
prediction 2016.
LeBron leads the Browns with 13 touchdowns.
Kyrie,
Just kidding.
2 interceptions from the strong safety position for the Browns as well. Yes.
I think we're gonna have to get LeBron in fantasy drafts. I think they need to add him in.
Anyways, my pick, I'm going to say Josh Gordon just because the Steelers do have D'Angelo Williams to fill in. So, I mean, doesn't hurt them too much. I mean, yes, Le'Veon Bell is 10 times better than D'Angelo Williams. Maybe not 10 times better, but probably up there. But But Josh Gordon, I think it brings them, one, an elite receiver if he does come up and plays like Josh Gordon can. They have Barnage there, but I think adding Gordon gives them, a threat deep at like Travis Benjamin. But I think Gordon is a little bit better than Benjamin. Um, he fills in, helps Barnage, takes some coverage off Barnage. I think if Duke Johnson can help out RG3, helps RG3, which can also impact Josh Gordon. And, RG3 has been out for a little bit. He's probably been grinding, putting in that work because he's pretty pissed that Kirk Cousins, of all people, took his job. If you lost your starting job to Kirk Cousins, I think you'd be pretty pissed. Not that Kirk Cousins is bad. He actually put up good numbers last year. But I think RG3 is going to be hungry. He's going to want it. And now they have Josh Gordon. I mean, they played together. They have some chemistry. I think Gordon could be pretty good again. And that's going to wrap it up for Tooch Talk. This is our second video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, as I said. And I'm out.
See you
Peace.
guys.
Later, guys.